The Digital Circles Podcast, giving a voice to Northern Ireland's business network. Brought to you by Private Label People. With your host, Paul Mooney.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Digital Circles Podcast. As ever, I am Paul Mooney, your host, and I'm joined by two wonderful guests today. We have Michael and Jack Gilsenan from Lee Opticians. How are you guys?
Very well, thanks, Paul.
Thank you for joining us and getting on the road this morning and making it part of your day to be here. Have you a busy day lined up?
Well, I haven't, but maybe Jack has.
Just for anybody listening, Michael, you're the dad.
Yeah.
So we'll come to you first in regards to the optician journey.
Okay.
How did you become an optician? What made you want to become an optician?
I suppose with me it was I had an awful lot of eye problems when I was growing up as a child. So I had a squint.
Okay.
Starting off as a baby, and then I had a squint operation, and was in and out of opticians, and was always breaking my glasses, and so I sort of had a sort of a little bit of an innate interest in it. And so when I went to school, I really didn't know what I wanted to do as a career, and so I looking through the careers room one day, and I thought, oh, I'll maybe apply for this course, and so that's how the journey started. So I went to London I was in London for 3 years, and then I worked in Bedford, and I came home after that, and I started working in a practice for Mr. Michael Lee, and I worked with him until he retired, and so that's basically how the journey started. So that's probably about 40 years ago.
Okay. And Michael Lee, I take it, he was the man behind Lee Opticians,
yes,
and then you've
yes.
carried on that good name forward.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's good. You'd a vested interest in the way you got involved, and it was very personal to you. Jack, you're obviously the son. Was your personal interest in, well, this is what my dad does, and you'd help them out? And
yeah, that would definitely where it stemmed from, obviously. When I was in school, sort of 16 onwards, I would have gone in on a Saturday and did a wee bit of lab work, putting glasses together, and got an idea of the business, the work that involved, and also listening to what Dad did every week, at the dinner table. Just took an interest, but business was probably an interest of mine, and then obviously going into the family business is obviously important to me. So it worked well and did all the qualifications that I needed to do to sort of progress in that as well.
People would say it's not easy working with family. How do you find it?
So it's I don't know anything different, to be fair, but I think we work well together. Probably at a stage now where I'm telling Dad just to take a wee bit of a step back and kept out playing more golf and stuff like that. So I think we do work well, and outside of work, obviously we do still talk about work, but we try to reduce that. I think it's important just to keep work and father and son outside of work.
I'm finding it really hard.
Very honestly, that's what we're looking for, Michael. Well, whenever you got involved with Lee Opticians, did they only have one store at that time, or was there a number of stores compared to now?
They had one store. It was a small place in Newry, and sort of Michael Lee was he was sort of trying to retire, and he still liked to do a little bit of work. So he eventually retired, and then I sort of took over with another optician, and we ended up with 4 places at one stage. So we had a place in Armagh, and then we had a place in Crossmaglen, And so basically the business gradually evolved and grew. But we have got 3 very good practices now: Crossmaglen, Camlough and Warrenpoint. We did have a place in Newry, and anyway, there was a sort of a partnership split, and so we sort of moved to we expanded the Warrenpoint practice. It's a very, very big independent practice, and a Crossmaglen and Camlough are 2 healthy practices as well. So we're doing sort of quite well.
Very good. And Jack, how do you become an optician? Because that's something I have no knowledge of. I mean, what's the sort of study that you need to do to become an optician?
So there's optician. So optician would be the most recognised word. So optician's actually the person who would, when you come out of the eye test and you're specialising or talking to people about lenses and things like that, that's the actual optician. The person who tests the eyes is the optometrist. So people, optician would be the word.
Yeah.
So there's optician and optometrist. So optometrist would be the one that would be most people would go to university and study to become that. So obviously your biologies and things like that, and go to university to do that. Optician, which what I have done, when you did it was maybe slightly different, but I would have done distance learning, so worked full time, and then for twice a year for 2 weeks would have gone over to Kent, Godmersham in Kent, and that would have been sort of like an intense sort of university, Monday to Friday. Would have learned the theory stuff, which, to be honest, I wasn't particularly great at. But I, most of my learning actually then was just the everyday work side of things. And I do, anyone coming through with work experience, obviously they're coming in, they're doing a bit of, they're coming in to do work experience but for like an optometrist. But I would always say, like, if that doesn't work out, do think about an optician in terms, because it's, basically my job's essentially talking to people all day, having a bit of crack and things like that. And there is other routes. You could do day releases, but that would be more, you have to be living things in Bradford or London. That would be like more of a university route. For what I did, but definitely I got a lot out of the way I did it in terms of my qualifications.
But I think from the point of view of anyone that is interested in doing optometry or dispensing optics, it's, if you have an interest in science and maths, physics, biology, it's an advantage.
Okay.
And you can do optometry in Coleraine. The field that Jack is in is actually very specialised, and we're going to be talking about it later on, about various different lenses that are available nowadays. But it's very much part and parcel of the optometrist and the dispensing optician or optician working together as a team.
Okay.
And there are other avenues that, if you're interested in eyes, you can become an orthoptist.
Right.
Who generally, an orthoptist is a person who works in a hospital but would deal with sort of lazy eyes and squints and stuff like that. Which is,
specialised.
It's quite a broad career spectrum.
It's very interesting. My daughter is actually doing her chemistry GCSE today, right as we speak, and she still isn't sure about what she wants to do going forward. So I might mention that, because, as you say, if you're interested in science, maths, that sort of thing, that could be a career path for her. You'll give her work experience, would be even better.
Yeah.
But whenever somebody comes in to the opticians and as an optometrist, an optometrist, bringing them in for the eye study, if you want to call it that, or just to check their eyes, what sort of things are you looking for?
Well, first and foremost, you're looking to check the health of the person's eyes. Okay. So part of that test would be looking in the back of their eye, using different instruments like maybe an ophthalmoscope, which goes in. It has different sort of magnifications and looks at the back of your eye. Nowadays, they would use different pieces of equipment to, like photographic equipment and scanning machines. So they would be wanting to check for things like cataracts, glaucoma, more sinister stuff as well, to make sure there's no sinister stuff going on. After that, you're also detecting any long-sightedness, short-sightedness, astigmatism, or muscle problems that anybody may have, and that might develop into wearing a pair of glasses. And I suppose there's there's another aspect of it as well too, that you're trying to give them a good service and make sure that any glasses that they need is going to help them in their own occupation or schooling or education. And in regards to eye health, is there certain things that you can do to look after your eyes and to protect against eye disease or something? I'm a nightmare for constantly touching my eyes with my finger, and I wear glasses and I wear contact lenses. Sometimes you get irritable and you do touch your eyes. Is there things that you have to think about in regards to that? Well, there are a lot of things that you can do. The main thing really is nowadays would be to make sure that your eyes get a certain amount of protection. There's a huge amount of increase of students and adults using screens. Screens can be dangerous in many respects. They give out sort of harmful blue light, which can cause damage long term. On the short term, we would find, and I'm sure Jack would agree with this, we're finding an awful lot of people that are suffering from dry eyes, and because they're not lubricating their eyes enough, because their eyelids are open and they're not, they're not blinking. So we, and I'm sure every practice is the same, we are sort of now selling products that will keep their eyes lubricated and protect them against dry eye problems. It's also very important to have your eyes checked on a regular basis, and history has shown that children don't get their eyes checked often enough. And I think there is a stat that most children in primary schools in Northern Ireland get their teeth checked on an annual basis, but it's something like 90%. And it's like 20% get their eyes checked on an annual basis. So that's very important. As you get older, it's not as important. Between 20 and 40, you don't need to get it as checked as regularly. But from 40 on, it's worth getting checked again.
Let's face it, we're all winners. For your chance to win fantastic prizes from our rolling monthly competition, just head on over to digitalcircles.click/give or follow the link in the description.
So the things like, is it blue blockers you call them, whenever you're looking at a computer screen all day, something like that, would you recommend people should wear if they're constantly... I know they work to a certain degree because behind you, people can't see when they're listening, but we have a neon sign and it's blue. And somebody came in the other day and they were wearing blue blockers and they said, does that not work? Can you not plug it in? I said, it's on, but he had blue blockers on. Yeah. So I went, okay, well, we know they work, but I take it they protect your eyes a little bit, and a lot of people are wearing them.
In simple terms, when I'm dealing with in work, I sort of describe it as sun cream for the eyes.
Okay.
Like there's no correlation with what I'm about to say, but it's like, it's nearly like wearing like it's equivalent nearly of wearing like 50 factor 50 sun cream for it's just giving you that high level of protection, where obviously you need light to see, which is going to the back of the eye, but the higher level of the blue light's sort of hitting the lens and bouncing out, so gives you that sort of protection.
That makes sense. Glasses they're a fashion accessory now. I mean, people are quite fussy about them, and I know one fella who had laser eye surgery and was still wearing glasses after, but there was no lenses in them because he thought he still liked the look. Whenever people come in, I go into an optician's and I always, for some reason, I go on my own, and I should actually take somebody with me, because you want somebody to look at you, go, they suit you. And you're sort of, it's difficult when you're looking in the mirror and your eyesight's not the best. So, and you're just wearing the frames. Why did certain glasses suit certain people? Is it to do with the shape of your face, or is it to do with the shape of the glasses, do you think? Is there a rule of thumb that you would recommend somebody when they come in to say, you know that a certain pair might suit them better than another?
Dad would probably say something along the same lines as myself, but I tend to stay away when someone's coming in to look at glasses. My main thing is that the fit of the frame is good, whether it be a plastic frame or a metal frame. Metal frame has the nose pads. Once I'm happy, like once we go through pairs, what I'm actually looking at and saying yes or no to is whether I like the fit, and when the lenses are in the glasses, whether I think it's going to be a good fit. After that, when it comes to shape or colour, that is a personal thing. People might come and just, they might have like a square shape and might be fancy and round, so to keep them right, what I'm really keeping them right is the fit. You obviously have to give an opinion what you like, but at the end, if someone is wearing the glasses, it has to be them to make that call, or even a family member to come in and help them as well.
But it's amazing though, I think through experience as well too, it's amazing the amount of times if you're asked to pick a pair of glasses out for a client or a patient, is you virtually the first or second or third pair of glasses you pick out is generally the ones that they pick.
Right.
So there is you do get you certainly get a feel for it, and Jack would
eye for it.
See, eye jokes. We could do those all day long. You're probably better bringing your other half, because it wouldn't be a good thing if you spent quite a bit of money on a pair of glasses, took them home, and they went, they really don't suit you.
But I think that's what I generally believe, though. That's why the Opticians as a whole is quite successful, because people do put their trust in us, and you do understand that people might want to come with their other halves, but very rarely does someone actually come back if they've picked on their own and they haven't not liked it. But like, at the end of the day, we don't want people leaving, not liking their glasses, knowing that it's come from us. So it's quite important, that people are 100% with what they get, and if that takes 5 minutes, if it takes half an hour, if it takes come in 2 or 3 times before they make a final decision, at least I know, and certainly we know that they're settled on. I actually probably don't like if someone picks it within 10 minutes. Like I think it's nearly too quick. So it is important to spend that bit of time with someone, or obviously respect if they want to come back or with someone to pick their glasses.
I think as well too, if you're running an independent practice as opposed to working with a multiple, you do have to provide something extra.
Yeah.
So we would put a lot of emphasis on personal service.
Yeah. I feel less bad now if I go in and I spend half an hour taking up somebody's time that you're recommending you should.
They will probably, if you're going somewhere and you're getting half an hour, it's, that's a very good sign that, at the end of the day, it's not something. It's not just, you're not just handing over a fiver. It's quite a bit of money and you're, it's something that you're going to be wearing for at least a couple of years, or especially if you are wearing them all the time.
There's been some major advancements in optometry, and first of all glasses, of course, and then contact lenses started coming in, and I remember just as a child, my dad putting contact lenses in. He would have had them, he was taking them out and put them in the saline solution. You can still get those, can't you? Is it the ones that you would, is it monthly lenses?
Yeah. There's dailies and monthlies, fortnightlies,
and now, of course, there's laser eye surgery, and you see lots of people benefiting from that, and there's adverts on TV and radio about laser eye surgery. That's quite a process to go through. But there's also something I noticed on your website which I thought was really interesting. I actually seen it on your Instagram, and I thought it was an April Fool. Just being honest, and I'd actually messaged you, Jack, asking about it, and I went, "Hold on, when was that? Was that April Fool's Day?" Because I couldn't believe it, and it's something I hadn't heard of, and it was night vision lenses. Is that correct?
Yeah, so night lenses, actual term for the ortho K lenses, and it's probably an example of how technology is so advancing so much in optics, but what's essentially happening is the machine behind it all is what's allowing this to happen. So what's happening is the patient, now I have to say that it's suited for people who are myopic or short-sighted. But what happens is that put this lens in at night, which is custom made for them based on this scan, and if they have to get at least 7 hours sleep. I think that's what they're saying, 7 hours. And then when they wake in the morning, the front of their eyes like pushed back, so it's correcting their vision overnight. So when they get up in the morning, there's no need for putting on the glasses or the contact lenses, but you has to go in every night. But it's mad. Like my cousin, I can talk about. In one eye, he was -475 and -3 or something in the other eye, and now he's walking about during the day, just no glasses. Actually, just recently, he had prescription sunglasses that I did up as a. He was one of my best men at my wedding, and did him up prescription Ray-Bans, but now he can't wear them.
He's trying to sell them back to you.
So I just recently had to put the plain lenses back in so he could wear them, because with the prescription that's in it, he's not able to wear them anymore.
They'd be perfect for me, because it's this time of year. Actually, they'd be perfect because I have to wear contact. If I want to wear, because I don't have prescription sunglasses actually, so if I want to wear sunglasses, then I have to put the contact lenses in. So they'd be perfect.
Yeah. No, it's a fascinating revolution actually.
And it's safe as well too.
Yeah. And it's just before we came on, as I was saying, that like it's we talk about laser eye surgery, which is a marvelous thing for people to be able to get or have, but with the night lenses, it's that ability to choose. You could go through a phase that I might actually just go back to wearing my glasses. So you just stop wearing the night lenses at night, and then your prescription reverts back to what it would have been.
Don't forget, for your chance to win fantastic prizes from our rolling monthly competition, just head on over to digitalcircles.click/give or follow the link in the description.
I've fallen asleep a few times. I know you really shouldn't do this, but with contact lenses in, and it's usually been after a night out, have to be honest.
Yeah. Most cases. Yeah.
And I actually I went to work one day and I put contact lenses in, and I spent most of my working day going, I have a terrible headache and my vision's not right. Yeah. And I only realised at about 2 o'clock that day that I was wearing a pair of contact lenses on top of another pair of contact lenses, which really wasn't. I shouldn't even admit that. It's terrible. But I was looking a day off work for having a headache at that point. But it can be easily done where you wake up in the morning and you forget that you've left them in the night before if you've had maybe a big night.
It can be, especially if you have worn your contact lenses overnight, like the pain of that, just simply that they've just dried out, and it takes a wee bit to recover from that, actually.
Michael, we were talking a little bit off air about something else you do, which is stress vision, you call that?
No, well, in the practice we have a visual stress clinic. Okay. So it's looking at it's working with mainly children, but not always children, adults as well, who are underachieving from an educational point of view, and the connection that may have with vision. So there are visual issues that maybe are not detected in a routine eye examination. So that's really what I would be looking at. So maybe if a child can't track the words when he's reading, maybe because of their eyes may have jumpy eye movements, or they may not be focusing properly, or they may have what are called visual stress issues or pattern glare issues, where they can look at normal print and it can be the print can be distorted or visually uncomfortable to look at.
Okay.
So I would, or we would work. We've had a visual stress clinic for about 20 years, and we have seen people from all over the place, really, to be honest. And you get a huge satisfaction from it, and from a professional development point of view, it's the best thing I've ever done. But it the main thing with it's our profession and education don't communicate very well, and so it's really, I feel it's very important that we do. In the future, there are a lot of visual issues that are holding children back in school, and unfortunately they're not looked at. And so if a child is underachieving in school, it could be from a visual issue.
It's really interesting.
Yeah.
I actually think back to whenever I was at school, and being a typical sort of maybe a joker in the classroom, I didn't want to sit at the front, so I wanted to sit at the back. But actually, a lot of the time I couldn't see what the teacher was writing on the blackboard, but I didn't want to move to the front of the classroom. But so that would have affected my learning. That's my excuse. But no, when it comes to children, obviously it's huge, and it's really important that their parents can get something like that.
We were asked to do a screening on a school, at a classroom in school. Classroom in class of, I think, 27 P5 children, and out of the 27 there were only 2 wearing glasses, and we detected another 13 that needed glasses of some description or eye exercises and so forth.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
So it does, vision does impact on underachievement in schools.
And is there anything you see going forward within your industry that is cutting edge or will change things? Or are we already, I mean, you spoke about the night lenses and laser eye surgery. Is there anything else that you think is on the horizon that you can see coming up that's been of interest to you? Well, there are a lot of things going on, but I think it's very important to communicate the importance of vision, in all aspects of life, whether it's working or education or sport, and very often, vision is the last thing that people look at, especially in sport. Simple things like colour deficiency is a male thing. So 9% of males have a colour deficiency. And if you're out, if you're playing a football match and, the
the jerseys or similar makes it harder for them to see more accurately. But performance in sports, vision, just definitely encourage people to look at vision whenever if there's an underachievement in sport or an underachievement in education.
Yeah, it's something I can relate to because I'm colourblind. So yeah, both myself and my two brothers are colourblind, and I played football, and I not frequently struggled, but I did struggle sometimes with the jerseys.
It's very difficult.
Yeah, and people ask you to explain it, and it's difficult to explain when you're colourblind as to what trips you up. The best sort of scenario I could give is I went to Australia and I was fruit picking for a while, so we were picking apples, and the farmer came behind me one day and said, "You've missed apples on every tree. What are you doing?" And I just literally could not see the apples for the trees. It was so I ended up having to run my hands down the branches trying to find apples at times. So it's certainly in sport as well. And regarding contact lenses, if you're wearing contact lenses playing sport, that's probably not ideal either, because it's happened to me. You lost one halfway through a match, and you might as well take the other one out because it's worse when you've won in.
Yeah.
So yeah, in sport I can see that being very relative.
But one other thing, and just in terms of what going forward is, like, one thing I would like as in practice, aside from the Saturdays I would have worked, when I started, it would have been quite rare that a child would come out of the test room and would have been myopic or short-sighted. Now to this day, it's probably even more rare that I don't see at least a couple of children come out of a test room per day who are now short-sighted, and it's largely to do with the amount of time on tablets and screen. I'm definitely noticing a lot more children become myopic, to the point where obviously it's very obvious in the wider optical world the increase of that's just me saying that in Warrenpoint, Crossmaglen and Camlough. Then on a wider scale, it's obviously being signalled as a problem, and what they're afraid of is that in those children now in 10-15 years time, they're afraid of them getting ocular problems that maybe in 15 years time that people who are 60 years of age and above would be getting. So they're afraid of younger people getting all these problems earlier.
But Jack, there's a lot of research going into how to control myopia.
Okay.
So that's one thing that to try to sort of prevent this as much as possible is a lens that's about myopia management for children. So it's about trying, whatever their prescription is now, just to try to steady that. Because if a child's, anything 8 years of age to older, every year that's just going to increase, and especially, it's getting impossible now to say, stay away from screens, because even in schools they're doing their work through screens and their education through screens. So there's a lot of research has gone into what's now known as myopia control and myopia management, just to try to just reduce the level of progression. So long term, that's if the children now in 10 or 15 years time aren't experiencing ocular problems, it's going to lead to such things as retinal detachments and things like that. So,
and from Michael Lee, who started it, through to you, Michael, now you're handing over the baton, and Jack, you're encouraging him to get out and play some golf and leave it in your good hands in the future, by the sides of things.
I think so. Like what I'm going to be, what'll motivate me, and an aspect of pressure as well, which I'll thrive on, is just saying exactly, like, all Lee Opticians is in the local areas that we're in has a good name, and it is Mr. Mr. Lee, obviously, it started and did good work. I unfortunately never met him or anything. But just over the years, seeing the dedication and work that Dad has done, you know, my role now is, you know, is to continue that. It is a pressure that I'll not want to, you know, I wouldn't want anything. Just want to continue the good work that Dad's done, and I look forward to doing it.
But as well, I think it's very important. We do have a very strong team. There's about 16 of us all together, and every single one has
A role.
has played their role in and we get on very well together. And between the optometrists, dispensing assistants, dispensing opticians, and the reception staff and admin staff, we're all pulling together, and which is the secret, really. Good staff.
Yeah, and that's coming across very clear. That you're a good team. You value the community around you, and it's great to see a local business thriving and doing well. And I wish you every success going forward in the future.
Thank you very much,
Thanks,
Bill.
Harry. Thank you.
And, thanks for joining us today. And
I enjoyed it. Thank you for having us.
you're welcome.